Good morning, students. Today we are going to take up part A of chapter 3, where we'll be dealing with public enterprises. As you could see the name of some of the public enterprises on the screen, that is Indian Oil, SAIL, United India Insurance, Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited, and so on. First, we'll like to define what is public enterprise. It is a form of business organization which is owned partly by state or wholly by state and central government and controlled through public authority. That is, there is public ownership for social reason and the purpose is to provide service. Generally, we take up utility areas, for example, water, gas, electricity, broadcasting, telecommunication, and some of the forms of transportations under this criteria. Now comes the reason for the government's participation in the business. Why at all government should come when we have gone for seeing in the previous chapter different forms of private enterprises where they were performing well. Why at all the government should come into picture? So first is when we want a planned development of a nation. We want proper infrastructural facilities in terms of railways, roadways, dams, then regional development in order to avoid disparity in rural and urban areas. Then, when a government wants to act as a model employer, showing others how to perform. Then we have social cause for justice of the resources, then generation of employment opportunities, distribution of economic gains in a rational manner, and when there's a need for nationalization. Government is to probe into the situation and act as one of the business entity in the market. Next, we'll go for seeing what are the different forms of public enterprises. And here we classify into three: departmental undertaking, statutory corporation, and government company. And if we see the examples of it, we have in departmental post and telegraphs, railways, All India Radio, Doordarshan, ordnance factories. In case of statutory corporation, FCI, that is Food Corporation of India, IFCI, Industrial Finance Corporation of India, LIC, Life Insurance Corporation of India, UTI, Unit Trust of India, STC, State Trading Corporation. And in case of government company, we take up examples of HMT, Hindustan Machine Tools Limited, SAIL, Steel Authority of India Limited, Hindustan Shipyards Limited. Next, we come down to individual forms of organization. But before that, I would like to give a brief review of how we treat each type of enterprise. It's in the relationship of a father and a child will take up. It's in the relationship of father and a child. And let us take government as the father and these forms of enterprises as their children. In departmental undertaking, it's like saying the father doesn't want the child to have his own entity. Throughout the lifetime, the child is known as son of Mr. XYZ. He doesn't have his own identity. and father is wholly solely responsible for both good and bad of the son. Son is not to be blamed. He's a puppet in the hands of father. This is what is departmental undertaking. It is not having any separate entity. It is an integral part of the government itself, and everything is regulated through the government. So we don't have that much of accounting in it. Next comes to statutory corporation. Statutory corporation, where we come to a bit of advanced version of parenting. The father says, I'm there behind you, you make a move. So he is there giving you protection as a father, but your entity is partly flourishing. So statutory corporations, they have separate entity, but the protection of government is there. And what in government companies? It's like a father saying, I'm your biological guardian. I won't deny your existence through me. You move on your own. Wherever required, to the bare minimum extent, I will be there. But I am not denying your existence. So in government company, the government, by putting 51% share, is taking a major hold, but rest part, it is giving freedom to the government companies to operate in open market. And that is why we say it is the best option among the public enterprises, where the government proves itself to be a role model for the entire government as well as private enterprises. Now we'll take one by one, all of them individually. First, departmental undertaking. In this, it is organized, controlled and managed by the government in the same way as any other government department. That means it is not having separate entity. It is not having separate entity. All the finance part is being announced through budgets, and the revenue also goes to the government's treasurer's account. As we have in railways, we have budget sessions, post and telegraph, and other departments. Let us see the feature of it. As we said, departmental undertaking, you are not giving any separate entity, so there's no question of formation. It's not a question of formation because there's no separate entity. It is an integral part of a particular ministerial unit. That means it is the ultimate responsibility with the minister, whosoever that minister is. The government finances it. The accounting and audit as applicable in the government department works. Then the most important thing is the employees are civil servants. They're civil servants and they're appointed through competitive exams like UPSC and other exams conducted by the government. Then there's sovereign immunity, that is, a department undertaking cannot be sued at all without the consent of the government. See, like every organization, it has its own advantages and disadvantages. In case of departmental, formation is very easy. It is a part of this thing, ministerial activity, so there's no question of separate formation. There's direct control of parliament and state legislature. Perfect secrecy is maintained. Lesser burden of tax on the public. It's the major vehicle or instrument for any drastic social change that you want to introduce, lesser risk of misuse of public money because government is regulating it and it is guided by rules and regulations of the ministry. Next is the limitation part. I'm sorry, it should be red tapeism, not read tape. Red tapeism and bureaucracy, then incidence of additional taxation, then lack of competition. We are giving total protection. So competitive approach is not there. Casual approach towards work, political influences unnecessarily being there, lack of professional management and fear of criticism. So you don't want to take up a major step, and financial dependence on the ministry. Next is public corporation. Now, it is an autonomous organization which is established by special act of center or state legislature. The special act defines its powers, duties, functions, immunities, and the pattern of management. We also say it as statutory corporation. So usually you will find the word corporation is used as a suffix in this. Life India Corporation, Insurance Corporation, Indian Airlines, Air India, State Bank of India, Oil and Natural Gas Commission. Now if we see the features of it, it is incorporated under a particular act of parliament or state legislative assembly. It's an autonomous body and is free from government control in respect of internal management. So here you have autonomy. It has a separate legal existence. It has a separate legal existence and the government only provides the capital. But then there's a provision that they can borrow. It is managed by board of directors, which is composed by the individuals who are trained and experienced in business management. The member of the board of directors are nominated by government. Then it is supposed to be self-sufficient in financial matters. However, what I said, in case of necessity, it may take loan and seek assistance from the government. The employees are recruited under their separate recruitment policy as per the requirement. And the terms and conditions of the recruitment is decided by the board. Advantages, if you find, you have expert managements because we are hiring experts. Internal autonomy or freedom is there. They are responsible to parliament. So efficiency part is automatically taken care of. There is adequate degree of freedom which gives flexibility in the operation. It promotes the national interest and it is easy to raise fund from other sources also if required in the form of loan. If we see the limitations of it now, limitations, unnecessarily government interference to the bureaucracy takes place. There is rigidity to some extent because your auditing control process is to be regulated by the government. And you are ignoring the commercial approach. The biggest part is you are seeing the utility and the services part, you are ignoring the commercial approach. Now we come down to government company. As we said, it is the most efficient form of public enterprise. A government company has been defined by Indian Companies Act 2013, Section 2, subsection 45, as one which is having not less than 51% of the share capital, which is held by government, union or state. And examples are here: HFD, Coal India, SAIL, NTPC, MTNL, ONGC, etc. We can see here also, it comes out in this form as a cumulative one. Then we come down to features of government company. It is to be registered under Companies Act. Then executive decisions of the government takes place. It has a separate legal entity. Majority capital is provided by the government. Majority of the government directors are there. They have their own staffing process. They are free from the procedural controls, and their accountability is to the parliament or to the state legislature. If we see the advantages of it, the formation has to be easy. There's internal autonomy, private participation, and it is easy to alter the objectives and the powers. Perfect discipline is maintained, professionalized management is there, and public accountability is there. Then, if we see the limitations, your board of directors is packed with yes men. That means they won't put much of their brain on controversies. Autonomy is a theoretical concept because your majority is with the government in terms of shares. A fraud on the Companies Act and the Constitution can always take place because you are, at one point we say, you are being regulated by the government as well as by the Company Act. So, in advantage we can say you are being taken care of by two authorities, and in case of negative we can say that your government would think that company law is taken care of, and company law will think that government is taken care of, so they escape the accountability in both the cases. Fear of exposure is there. Then lack of expertise in deputation and selfish functioning, which is a very common thing we find in case of bureaucratic approach. Now let us see how it works in form of comparison or the differences in between statutory corporation, departmental undertaking, and government company. While we are going for formation, statutory is by special act of parliament, departmental by a ministry, and government by Companies Act with majority by the government. Then ownership, statutory is wholly owned by the government, departmental is wholly owned, and in case of government company, at least 51% is to be taken up by the government. Then autonomy, in case of departmental there is no autonomy, in case of statutory still there is sufficient autonomy, and in government highest degree is there. Legal status, in departmental no separate legal status, in case of statutory corporation it is having a separate entity, and government is also having a separate entity. Now accountability part, because departmental is in the pure clutching of the government, highest accountability, statutory moderate, and government low. Then about the personnel or the staffing or the recruitment. In departmental, they're civil servants, that is why we call them government employees. Statutory, they have their independent recruitment system, so they are not government employees but hired under the contract of the service as by the corporation. And similarly, in government also we have independent hiring system. They are not government employees, but they are hired under a contract of service. Fund or the financing part. In case of department, it is financed from the government budget, and the revenue also goes to the government's treasurer's account. In case of statutory, It is financed from its own resources, which may include some issue of the shares of the debentures. And in government also it is financed from their own resources, which may include issue of the shares and debentures. Suitability part in departmental, where utmost level of secrecy is required, or something which is very critical to the development of the nation. For example, defense, services of public utility like education, health, and in case of statutory, the industrial and commercial undertakings. And again in government also industrial and commercial undertaking with a bit of more freedom or autonomy. Then if we see example part of it, in case of statutory corporation we have LIC, GIC, SBI, RBI. In case of departmental undertaking, railways, post and telegraph. And in government company, SAIL, GAIL, GAIL, etc. With this part A, we are coming to an end, and for year 2020 and 21, your rest part, that is a joint venture, multinational companies, and your public-private participation is not included in your syllabus. Thank you very much.